It's happening! Everybody stay calm!
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Hey everyone, Molly Pop here, and thank you so much for almost 2K now. It's still crazy to me to see an uppercase letter underneath my handle, and that's thanks to all of you. So thank you so much to everybody who watches my silly little videos. Now, you only hit 1K once, right? So I really wanted to do a 1K subscriber special, so I asked my followers across my different socials to suggest characters for a 6 fan arts challenge. It's pretty much what it says on the tin. Let's jump in. I had 2 separate people suggest that I draw Jacinthe from Pokemon Legends CA, so I drew her first. Disclaimer, I don't know very much about Jacinthe. In fact, all but one of the characters in this challenge I don't know very much about because I haven't played the game or seen the show that they're in. Yeah, in other words, I still haven't gotten Legends CA, but I've been enjoying all the fan art of it I've been seeing. Most of which is of Corbo. Also some of Canary? I have no idea how to pronounce her name, but of the Legends CA characters I've seen, if I had to pick one to draw, I might pick her because I love the street style aesthetic she has going on, and I love neon yellow and teal. But when I looked up Jacinthe, I saw, oh, she's the resident fairy type specialist of the game, and I like fairy type Pokemon a normal amount. As in, it's my all-time favorite Pokemon type to the extent that anytime I've played Pokemon Showdown, I will only play Monotype for the sole reason of wanting to have an all-fairy type team. Like, if I were in the Pokemon world, I would be a fairy type specialist, so. Okay, Jacinthe. I think you and me can get along. I do have to confess, her hair and her sleeves, I feel defy physics just a bit, so I was a bit nervous about drawing them, but one of my favorite fan art hacks is looking up cosplays. There's literally no better reference than somebody who's already done the hard thinking of how would the hair and clothes be constructed in physical 3D space. I started this piece like a few weeks after ZA's release, and someone had already posted a gorgeous Jacinthe cosplay on YouTube, so thank you to Jahara Jade for helping me draw the sleeves on Jacinthe's dress. No, like, seriously. For the next character, someone suggested I draw Segawa Onpu from Doremi, and when I looked her up, this was the first picture I saw, and as soon as I saw it I wanted to draw her, because I love giant sparkly round eyes. They reminded me a little bit of Pokemon, which we all know how much I like that. The Doremi art style is really cute, but I feel like she ended up looking older in my style, because usually I draw eyes about halfway down the head and the chin's a little bit pointy, but compared to Doremi, Onpu's eyes are super low on her head and her chin is super round. Her head is basically just a circle, and I think that makes her look even younger. Like, I was trying to look up how old Onpu is, but it was surprisingly kind of hard to find, so I'm still not sure. The art though reads to me that she's like 7 or so, but I think she looks older the way I drew her, so if I ever drew her again, I'd want to push her eyes lower and her chin rounder. I was actually live streaming the process for some of these pieces on Twitch, and someone asked me in chat, why are you painting her all green? Yeah, you might notice in the sketching part of these time lapses, sometimes the entire shirt or hair will just turn a random color. This is a sketching technique I've been using more since Inktober. I start by sketching the body with pencil, then I paint the silhouette of the hair and clothes with the random color, it doesn't matter what, before drawing a more detailed sketch or line art on top of it. I started trying out this technique back when I was doing a character design project in late summer. A lot of character design tutorials emphasize the importance of having a clear silhouette, so while sketching the characters, I would occasionally paint the entire sketch black to check the silhouette. And eventually, during Inktober, I found it faster to just start with the silhouette for the hair and clothes, which I tend to have trouble with drawing, but for some reason I feel this method makes it a little bit easier for me. For the third character, someone on YouTube suggested Marina from Splatoon. I've never played Splatoon, so I don't know very much about Marina, but I love her design. Neon teal is one of my favorite colors, and for some reason, I once had an obsession with Unconscious. Zero context. I was listening to a Splatoon playlist by Omni S2, highly recommend their channel, super good VGM playlists, and Unconscious was on it, and I just thought it was the coolest thing ever, and ended up playing it on Spotify for the entire rest of the night. Sometimes it just happens, a song just hacks into my brain and I play it on repeat the entire day, and ruin my Spotify Wrapped for the year. It's like I listen to these songs one day out of the year, but because I listen to it 30 plus times, it's in my top 5 now, and I'll probably never listen to it again. Anyway, I've been wanting to experiment with my rendering style, so for each of these 6 fan arts, I tried a slightly different style of rendering. For Jacinthe, I kind of did my standard rendering style, which is basically cel shading with some gradients. For Ampu, I tried a more minimal style, and for Marina, I took some inspiration from Dat Kravat's art, with which I'm a little bit obsessed right now. I love the super bright neon colors, the shading with black, the halftones. Also love the Ace Attorney fan art. Love Ace Attorney. Not gonna lie, I was hoping a tiny bit someone would suggest an Ace Attorney character. Didn't happen. No, what I was more surprised about was, I mean, I don't play the games, I never talk about them, but I'm a little surprised that not one person suggested a Hoyoverse character. I've never really drawn one, but I see everyone complain about how hard they are to draw because their designs are so detailed, and it just makes me want to try it and see how hard it really is for myself. I do know a little bit about, like, the early game characters in Honkai Star Rail, so maybe I draw them sometime, just for fun. For character number 4, I got a suggestion to draw Kagamine, the Vocaloid, and I was excited to use this as an excuse to draw one of her costumes from Project Sekai. I have now been exposed as a Project Sekai enjoyer. I actually haven't played it like over a year, but I still love checking out the wiki and seeing the costume designs and card art. I would love to draw more Project Sekai costumes. I actually drew 2 for Inktober, one of An's and one of Emu's, and it was so much fun. I really want to try it again. My favorite unit in Project Sekai is Vivid Bad Squad. I just really like their street style aesthetic, both the music and the costumes. So I drew Rin in her street Sekai costume. The Project Sekai art style has actually had a little bit of inspiration on my own art. I don't know if you can see it at all, but first of all, I really like the way they draw hair. I'm not the best at drawing hair, so I've done studies of it in the past to try to apply it to my own art. And the other thing I really like that they do is the rendering style. A lot of the card art to me almost feels a bit cinematic, like shots in a movie. It feels like the characters are really in an environment to me, but they're able to get this effect with basically just fancy cel shading. I feel like I struggle with more painterly style rendering, so I really admire how they're able to get this look I aspire to, but with cel shading instead of painting. So for the rendering style for this one, I wanted to lean into that influence, but also I saw this card on the wiki once. I was kind of obsessed. I like how it mixes the Project Sekai rendering style with pop art or comic book influence, like the sound effect and comic panels, but also the thick outlines, shading with black, halftones. All that reads very comic book to me, so I tried to use this card as inspiration as well. Character number 5. Someone from Instagram suggested I draw White from the Pokémon special manga. She's from the arc based on the Unova games, and her name is White because the protagonists in the manga are always named after the game titles and based on the player character designs, like Gold and Silver, Ruby and Sapphire, Diamond and Pearl, Black and White. All of which names might seem strange with no context. Pokémon Special was the main manga I read as a kid, and I actually started learning how to draw anime style by redrawing the panels with my own characters. I even tried to make my own arc of the Pokemon manga because the Sun and Moon arc released kind of late in the States, I think, but that's a story for another time. So it was interesting drawing White in my style because it was like returning to the origins of how I started to draw. Pokemon Special kind of takes some artistic license, expanding on the story from the games, And since this is the only character that I actually know anything about, I'm gonna talk about her and you can't stop me. So, White's first appearance in the manga is at a commercial shoot. Girl Boss is an entrepreneur who created her own Pokemon talent agency, as in Pokemon actors. And said commercial shoot is interrupted by this goofball who is also a main character. This is Black, and he's really gonna win the Pokemon League. The director sicks the incompetent AD on him to try to chase him off the set, and confirms with White, who's always so reliable, unlike said AD, that she has a male and female Tepig ready for tomorrow's shoot. Right? Yeah, guess what? Said AD told her to only bring one female Tepig to the shoot. White wants to smooth this over before the director finds out, and she notices that Black's starter Pokemon is a male Tepig. She's about to try to sales talk him into letting her borrow his starter when half the crew is mysteriously electrocuted. The director says, "I know who everyone is on the set except Black, so he must have done it." Classic Ace Attorney logic. White tries to talk the director down, but Black insists that he can prove his own innocence, and has his Muna bite down on his head. Cue reaction. Black is so obsessed with his dream to really win the Pokemon League, which he's been preparing for his trainer journey since he was 5, that he literally cannot focus on anything else unless he has his Muna, the Dream Eater Pokemon, eat part of his dream. It never goes completely away, but it does give him some pretty keen detective skills in the moment, and he deduces that a Galvantula is the true culprit. Except, in the process of capturing said Galvantula, his Tepig burns all the film equipment to a crisp. Cue director angrily shaking bills on his face. White sees her chance, swoops in, and offers to cover all damages because, from this moment forward, Black and his Tepig will be employees of her talent agency until they can pay off their debt. And that is how their Pokemon journey together begins. Man, I've read that chapter so many times I could recite it in my sleep. For the final character, we got On from Persona 5. So, as I've said with 5 out of 6 of these fan arts, gosh, I look like such a fake anime fan. I haven't played Persona 5. I've played a little of P5X, and I started watching a playthrough of Persona 5, but maybe I'll try it again in the future because every time I see it, I'm so obsessed with the Persona 5 art style. I mean, I'm basic. Isn't everyone obsessed with the Persona 5 art style? But I remember seeing footage of this game in video essays before I knew what it was, and I'd always be like, what is this game? It's the coolest thing ever. It's so freaking stylish. But you don't need me to tell you that. I'm sure there's a million video essays out there comprehensively deep diving into the Persona art style better than I ever could. But I was so excited someone suggested a Persona 5 character so I could just go the whole hog and embrace the rendering style. There's actually even kind of different rendering styles throughout the game. There's this one I ended up imitating most. It's kind of just flat color shaded with black. Then there's this one that has both black and color shadows. There's this one that's more painterly. Then the anime style, which is very simplified in comparison. And there's Persona Q, which is even more simplified. Which leads me to say, I also really love the shape language in Persona. I love shape language. I could try to describe it as sharp, yet rounded. To bring it up for like the 16th time in this video, I think Pokemon has some elements of that. I especially like the shape language of the faces, specifically the cheeks and chins. Pretty random. But before this, I'd kind of been thinking in the back of my mind, are there any art styles I specifically want to study the face shape of? And as I was drawing on, I realized, what if I started doing studies of Persona style cheeks and chin shapes? Yeah, pretty random. And with On finish, that completes the 6 fan arts challenge. Here's the final art. Thank you so much again to everybody who left suggestions for me. I'm sorry if your suggestion didn't end up getting picked. I got quite a few suggestions, and I was only realizing as I was getting them, shoot, I can't draw all of these. I mean, it's kind of obvious because I can only pick 6, but I was like, everyone who took the time to leave a suggestion, I feel bad that I can't draw all of them. So if I didn't draw yours, honestly, if you're really, really desperate to see a certain character in my art style, I'm on Vegan. Shameless self-promotion. Anyway, thank you so much for watching all the way to the end, and thank you again for over 1K subs. That's still crazy to me. At the time of recording, we're super close to Christmas. I can't believe 2025 is almost over. This year went by so fast for me, but this is probably the last big art project I'll post this year, so hoping you have a very happy holiday season and end to your 2025 and start to your 2026, and see y'all next year. Bye bye.